I invite you to pray according to your faith tradition as I pray according to mine. Almighty God, we thank you for this glorious day, a day in which we take the technical expertise and the leadership experience and we confirm it as these individuals are inducted as senior executive service members. We ask your blessing upon them, Lord, and you instructed your servant Moses when his father-in-law came to him and said, you will wear yourself out in these people. It is too much for you to lead all on your own. He says that you are to find able people who fear God, who are trustworthy, and who will not take a bribe. People who are experts in their field, and to put them over thousands and hundreds and fifties and tens. This is what we do today, and we thank you for Ms. Sullivan, for Mr. Boone and Dr. Moser. We ask that you would give them keen insight, that you would give them courage, and that you would give them wisdom as they lead their organizations and they advise the chief for the building up of this country, a foundation which is firm and well laid. We ask that you would bless all in attendance as we celebrate that you have seen and you have elevated them to these positions of leadership. For all authority comes from you. So bless all in attendance and bless this ceremony, we pray. In the name above every name, amen and amen. God bless you all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Joining us today for today's ceremony is Major General Kimberly Peoples, Commanding General, Mississippi Valley Division, along with ERDC Director Dr. David Pittman. We are also honored to welcome the following guests: ERDC leadership, lab directors and senior scientists, leadership and team members from other Corps of Engineer offices, our local officials from the City of Vicksburg and Warren County, ERDC retirees. Thank you all for joining us. Most significantly, I would like to recognize the family members and special guests of the honorees at this time. We are very pleased each of you could be with us today. Ms. Sullivan is joined by her husband, Lee, and son, Jonathan. Her daughter, Kristen, is a student at Ole Miss and was unable to join us today, as well as Ms. Sullivan's brother, Jesse. Mr. Boone is joined by his wife, Danielle, his parents, Ronald and Debbie, his sister, Adrienne Bridges, her daughters, Neely and Camille, his brother, Frank, and Frank's companion, Tiffany. Dr. Moser is joined by his son, Calvin, and mother, Marianne Browning. He is also joined by his neighbor and ERDC retiree, Randy Oswalt. His wife, Jen, was unable to join us today due to sickness. We send her our well wishes. Please join me in a warm welcome for our very special guests. Our first inductee of the day is Ms. Pat Sullivan. You can read each honoree's full bio in the program, but let me share a few highlights. Ms. Sullivan began her career as a research civil engineer in GSL, where she remained until becoming the Associate Technical Director for Military Engineering. She later became the strategic advisor to the GSL director until moving to the ERDC Executive Office as an executive staff officer. She served as the associate director for almost a decade before moving into the deputy director spot, the position she remains in today. Our second inductee is Mr. Nick Boone. Like Ms. Sullivan, Mr. Boone also began his career in GSL. He joined the Survivability Engineering branch as a research mechanical engineer, where he remained until becoming the Assistant Technical Director for Military Engineering. He then became the TD for Force Projection Maneuver Support until becoming the Senior Scientific Technical Manager and TD, and served in that position until being named GSL Director recently. Our final inductee is Dr. Robert Moser. Prior to becoming ITL Director, he served as a Senior Scientific Technical Manager in GSL, where he led numerous efforts across GSL and the ERDC with a focus on material science and advanced manufacturing. He most recently became the director of the Information Technology Laboratory, where his responsibility includes R&D leadership across a broad range of computational and information sciences, as well as execution of the DoD High-Performance Computer Modernization Program. He also serves as the authorizing official for the DoD-wide Defense Research Engineering Networks and serves as ERDC's Chief Information Officer. Please give a warm welcome for all three of our inductees. We are honored that these individuals are sharing this milestone in their career with us. At this time, I'd like to welcome ERDC Director, Dr. David Pittman, to share the significance of this occasion.
Well, thank you very much, Chris, and thank you all for being here. Isn't it a great morning? Wow, very significant day. We're inducting 3 senior executives in the United States Army Senior Executive Service, so that's a fantastic day for ERDC. So thank all of y'all for being here. Like Chris, I welcome all the family members for being here today. You know, we love our families, and without you doing what you do for us every day, we can't go do what we do. We miss ball games, we miss birthdays, we miss all kinds of significant events at home because what we're doing is kind of important for the country. So without you and your support, we just can't do what we do. So thank y'all again to all the families for being here. We really appreciate that. By the way, I want to thank folks who traveled far as well. With the chaplain, just gave a very brilliant opening prayer here. He's a good friend. He's actually going to talk to our leadership development team this week, so he's just an all-around great guy. So thank you, chaplain, for being here. And I really want to thank my battle buddy, General Peoples, for being here. She's just across town, but she's responsible for a lot of really big things, like the whole Mississippi River. That's a big thing. From the Gulf Coast all the way to Canada, and she's got thousands of people working for her, billions of dollars of program, but she said she would be here today on behalf of the chief. So, man, we really appreciate you being here today for us. So let's give her a big hand. So it's really great here to be here today, and I really want to congratulate all 3 of these folks here, these wonderful leaders joining the Senior Executive Service. That's a really, really big deal. Let me explain what that is real quick. So, you know what generals are, right, in the Army? They're like top people, you know. They command a lot of people, a lot of money. They're just like, well, that's kind of the civilian service equivalent of a general, essentially. That's basically what it is. So the Army has 250-ish senior executives. Senior executives are across the entire federal government, by the way. So the Army itself has about 250 senior executives. The Corps of Engineers has about 45 senior executives. It's about a 5th or 6th or something of the total. And then the ERDC has 9 out of the Corps of Engineers, 9 senior executives. And that's double counting 1, okay, GRL and AGC, but we'll claim 9. And so we're putting in 3 today, a third of all of the senior executives that we have. By the way, we got 2 more coming up. So we got Andy Nelson coming up at Champaign, Illinois. He's the new director of SERL. He's coming up. I think his ceremony will be February 28th, something like that. And then Dr. Ivan Beckman, he's the director of our Co-Regents Lab in Hanover. His ceremony, I think, will be later in April. He's trying to get the chief there, and the chief's calendar is pretty busy. So anyway, we're going to do 3 today, though, right here in Vicksburg, Mississippi. So we want to thank everybody. So let me start out, and the way this will go is I'm gonna kind of talk about each individual because I know them all very, very well, very personally, and they're very dear to me personally. And I'm going to talk a little bit about them, and then we're going to stand up, and we're going to do a little pinning ceremony for each one of them individually. They'll come over here and make some remarks. Then I'll stand up and we'll do another one, and then we'll do all 3 just kind of that way. So that's kind of the order of battle. And then after that, General Peoples will lead us through the formality of, we'll do the flag and the swearing in and all that kind of good stuff. So it's a nice ceremony this morning. So I'll start with Pat Sullivan. So Pat and I, the best way I can kind of explain Pat and I, We're kind of like brother and sister, maybe, from a different mother, maybe. So we kind of grew up together, okay? I started in 83. She started around 85-ish, I think, 84, 85, something like that. Just got her 40-year pin, so it must have been 84. She started when she was 5 years old, by the way, so she's amazing. So, but she was in the mobility system division, and I was in the pavement system division of the old geotechnical lab. It's now part of GSL. They combined those labs about 25 years ago. So we kind of started in different kind of worlds a little bit, but we really got to know her when we combined GSL in the late 90s. And she just was like this brilliant person who, knew a lot of things strategically and very great, obvious leader. So that's when I really started knowing her on a like day-to-day type level. But when I think about Pat, it's hard to characterize her in 5 words, but I'm going to give it a shot, okay? I'm going to do 5 words on Pat Sullivan. So first word is wise. I'll tell you why I think she's wise. A family, very important to her. Her faith. Her leadership and her excellence. And I'll start out with wisdom. Anybody who knows Pat Sullivan knows that she's probably the wisest person on the planet, okay? She just happens to work at ERDC. And so basically, when she says something, I tell everybody, if you need a great mentor, go see Pat Sullivan. And she mentors a lot of people, by the way. But if you want to know the answer to a very, very difficult question that nobody seems to know the answer to, she'll give it to you. And by the way, it'll be right for the right reason and the right timing. She's just good, which is why I talk to her all the time. Because I don't know the right things to do all the time. And it kind of comes, the higher you go up, the harder the answers get. And so her wisdom is just absolutely there. So wise, like Solomon type wise, okay? It's very, very wise. Secondly is family. It's not second to wisdom, but family is number 1 to her. Maybe right after faith, by the way, which would be number 3. But her family, obviously, very, very important. She has raised 2 beautiful children. One of them right here, Jonathan, by the way. Jonathan, by the way, is now an ERDC person. He's ITL. Whom? Jonathan, very good. And your sister, Kristen, we're trying to reel her in from Ole Miss. If she'll just say yes, or I don't know, we'll make her an offer. But anyway, brilliant kids. Her husband Lee is here, by the way. She's a devoted wife to her husband Lee. And I got to speak to her mom and dad real quick. So her mother and father were like senior people, instructors, professors at Alcorn State University. So it was almost like destiny that Pat would end up working here one day. Her mom and dad's like professors, smart people, and ERDC's just right up the road. And of course, she would end up here. And so I don't know how we got her, but we were very lucky. And her mom and dad, I think, did a pretty daggum good job raising her to be a wonderful human being. So if you don't mind, let's give that family a real good round of applause. Faith. So Pat's faith is very important to her. Very, very important to her. It's important to me too, probably a lot of y'all as well, but she really exemplifies. She walks the walk and talks the talk, okay? So we both took something called Strength Finders. Have y'all heard of Strength Finders? Anybody done Strength Finders before? Yeah. If you work at ERDC, Corps of Engineers is a big thing. And it kind of tells you about yourself. What are your strengths? And when I took mine 20 years ago, one of mine was, it's kind of like your strengths. So one of mine was belief. Belief. My beliefs kind of drive me. It's one of my strengths. Well, guess what one of her strengths are? Belief. Same sort of thing. Her faith informs her in everything that she does, okay, in her life. It's very important to her. She's so good at it, she's also a youth minister in her church. She's very big in the community, so she's on the board of directors for the YMCA, so she's all about giving back. And I'm not sure if she talks about herself in this way, but I see her as like a servant leader. That's the kind of leadership she is. She puts others before herself. So her faith is definitely a big driving force in her, and I think it's what makes her so good. And speaking of leadership, by the way, that's the 4th thing I'll talk about. She is a leader, all right? And I think of her as like a servant leader. She's always about giving, thinking of others first. She's a great mentor to lots of us, including me. And again, if you need a great mentor, she's sitting right here, okay? So great mentor. She'll tell you what you need to know, and she'll tell you the truth. It might hurt, but she'll tell you what it is, and you need to listen to what she says. She rose, as we talked about in her bio, all the way through research, and then she went to technical director's office, which means she builds programs. She's really smart across a very large area in military engineering. She was so good that Dr. Holland plucked her up. He was the director before me, pulled her up to be the associate director of ERDC. That's like the person that kind of runs things. They're kind of behind the curtains a little bit, but they're really running things. The whole personnel development program, they're on something called LQIP, which is all the labs in the DoD come together and they talk about personnel and equipment and infrastructure and policy and all that kind of stuff. She did that for almost 10 years. Then she led the board of deputy directors. That's all the deputies who really run things across the labs. So she stepped up to be a leader fairly early in her career and at the ERDC level. So that's tremendous. Then she became, just almost 2 years ago, the deputy director of ERDC. When Dr. Fleming got another job to go work with General Peoples, Pat Sullivan stepped up to be the deputy. She was the deputy director already, right? And she was an SSTM, by the way. If y'all don't know what that is, that's a senior scientific technical manager. So I told you about SESs, right? They're like generals. And STs, by the way, they're like generals too, except they're just technical. Well, SSTMs are kind of in between there, right? They make about the same amount of money. It's a really good gig. She was already a SSTM, and she, as deputy director, she was SSTM, but then we advertised it as a senior executive. And I talked to her about it. I said, Pat, you're going to apply, right? I'll think about it. I said, think hard, please. And so she competed for the job and got the job. Of course she'd get the job. She's just so good. So she stepped in to do that as a senior executive, and today we honor her for being a senior executive in that role. And so obviously the deputy director of ERDC is like, they're the chief operating officer. They really kind of run things. You know, I'm more outward focused. I'm like a CEO. She's a COO. She co-chairs the board of directors. Like when I'm out, she like runs the thing, that kind of thing. So just tremendous there. And then finally with her, I would say excellence is something I think about when I think of Pat. If you ever see her tagline when she sends you an email, at least she used to have this, I think she still does. She talks about building a culture of excellence. That's what she does here. That's what she represents. That's what she's trying to build here. I think she's doing a pretty daggum good job. As a matter of fact, when she became the deputy director of ERDC, she became in charge of the entire headquarters, right? EXO, IOC, we call it. That's a lot of people. It's the single largest group here at ERDC. And they had been winning in the FEVS thing, it's called a Best Place to Work Award, every year until Pat becomes in charge. And then they win the world-class place to work her first year. That was amazing. Like, that's what leadership, that's what excellence inspires, see? Because they know the kind of person, the kind of leader that Pat is. So, and she's won many, many awards, by the way. I mean, I got a list of them here. She's won a Woman of Color STEM Award, Superior Civilian Service Award, Meritorious. She is defining excellence in her own personal service as well, but she would never take credit for that. She would always give credit to everybody else. So, Pat, that's my 5 words for you, ma'am. I want to congratulate you very much and thank you for doing this. And if you will join now, me and General Peoples at the center of the stage, we're going to give you your pin. Thank you very much. Let's give her a round of applause. Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. The floor is yours.
Well, good morning. First and foremost, I want to thank all of you all for being here today. This promotion celebration is a moment of immense honor and joy for me, and I'm deeply blessed and humbled to share it with all of you. You know, there's an old adage that says, if you see a turtle on a fence post, you know it didn't get there by itself. So I can truly say that it is because of the wonderful people in my life, my family, my friends, and my colleagues that I have reached this significant milestone in my 40-year career. I did start when I was 5. I would first like to extend my deepest gratitude to my family. As Dr. Pittman alluded to, I would like to give honor to my deceased parents, Doctors Jesse and Alpha Morris, who demonstrated to me every day how to clear paths and blaze trails. To my husband Lee, our children Jonathan and Kristen, and my brother Jesse, my sister-in-law's here, Carla. Your love, patience, encouragement, and unwavering support has been my greatest strength, and without you, I simply could not do what I'm able to do. To my friends and my church family, thank you for your prayers and countless words of wisdom, laughter, and camaraderie that have kept me grounded and motivated. Your support means the world to me. To my many supervisors, there's just too many to name, some of them are here today, my colleagues and mentors, this achievement is as much yours as it is mine. I'm grateful for the opportunities, guidance, and trust that you've bestowed upon me over the years. Thank you for encouraging me, challenging me, inspiring me, and fostering an environment that has nurtured my growth and excellence. As I stand here today, you heard Dr. Pittman say my faith is very important to me, so I must give glory to God for his abundant blessings and guidance throughout my career journey. I'm reminded of Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, and plans to give you a hope and a future. In some version, it says an expected end. It is through my faith in the plan of God for my life that I've been able to stay the course and overcome any challenges to achieve this landmark. Finally, I thank all of you for your support and encouragement. I look forward to continuing to serve the Army, the Corps, and most importantly, ERDC, in this esteemed role. Thank you, and may God bless you all.
Okay, that's number one. We got two more. Okay, next we got Mr. Nick Boone. Nick Boone. It's like Daniel Boone with a Nick in front of it, okay? Nick Boone, Director of GSL. That's the lab I sort of grew up in. As a matter of fact, I was there, I think we just talked about it. His day he showed up in 2003, I think I became the acting director of GSL about that same day, and later on the director of GSL. So this is kind of like 2 or 3 down. Bart Durst sitting right there. He followed me as director of GSL, and now it's Nick Boone. So we're all very proud of Nick, proud of everybody. For now, he's assuming the director of GSL position, and we definitely want to congratulate Nick on that wonderful achievement. So I got 5 words for Nick too. Can y'all guess that? 5 words for Nick. Here's the 5 words for Nick. Okay, builder. He's builder, leader, family man, great communicator. Am I lying here, guys? Great communicator. And very professional. Okay, I'll start with builder. Okay, if y'all know the story of Nick and his family, I just met his mom and dad here just a second ago. He comes from a family of builders, like contractors, like they build stuff, okay? They got big equipment, machines. They tear up dirt. They build big rice farms. Okay, how do you build a rice farm? Well, you got to make sure the land is flat because you got to have water, and it's got to stand there, and that means you got to move dirt. Okay, so Nick was moving dirt with his daddy and his family from a very, very early age, and that really appeals to me. You know why? Because my daddy was a contractor too. He's the one that taught me into being an engineer one day. So Nick is a builder. He builds physical things, and so he kind of gets ERDC. You know, we're kind of like the construction people for the Army, the Corps of Engineers. So he really fits in well here, and he kind of understood that aspect of what we do. And he really fit in well in the military engineering because that's kind of what military engineers do as well. But he's not just a builder, like contractor builder. He built things like protective systems, like modular protective systems and overhead cover protective systems with Reed Mosier and Bart Durst and Pam Kennebrew. Is Pam here, by the way? I didn't see Pam. Pam Kennebrew and James Davis and a whole bunch of people who built things that literally to this day save lives. So he got right in the middle of that up front and just spent at least 10 years doing research all over the world and doing that sort of thing. But he's also a builder of relationships, we call it partnerships inside the Corps of Engineers. So he builds coalitions. So he's built coalitions between us and the big Army out there, the joint services, everybody, because it takes a lot of partnerships to get things done. And Nick is an expert at that. As a matter of fact, he's so good, he's sort of seen as one of the leaders in military engineering. And as we're developing something called engineer modernization, we're trying to make the Army engineers come up to the 21st century. They're still using equipment and things from 40, 50 years ago. So Nick is a leader in how the Army engineers are going to do their thing in the future. So builder, number one. Number two, he is a leader, right? We saw it on day one. I told Reed Mosier this, and I think we both said this. When Nick got here, I said, that guy's going to be a director one day. I mean, he just had the it factor. I mean, you could just see it in him. He kind of knew what he was doing. He was very humble, very, very smart, hard worker. He has got calluses. When you see calluses on a hand, by the way, you know somebody really likes to work hard, okay? But he was very humble about it, okay? You got calluses? He's shaving his calluses off now. So, but we could just tell. I mean, he had the right stuff. And I was going to point out Pam Kennebrew because Pam, she was like a branch chief. I think she was the branch chief. She hired you, right? Pam has hired so many good young people. She's like a mother hen, man. She gets them in, she raises them really good, and they turn out to be lab directors, okay? And Reed Mosier and Bart Durst and JD and others. So he became an assistant TD only about 10 or 11 years after researching. Now he's developing programs and that sort of thing. Then he became technical director for force projection and maneuver support. That's a fancy way of saying he does airfields, he does ports, he tries to get the soldiers to the fight. And so he was leading that and became an SSTM. Now, I already told you what an SSTM is. He's already there. I mean, he's really operated at a very high level. So why in the world would you go to be an SES? I mean, you're there already. But yet, he did. He took that mantle up because somebody's got to be the SES. And we're so glad, Nick, that you decided to apply and competitively got the job. And now he is the fourth director now, Bart? You were number three? Yeah. He's the fourth director of GSL. So we're very, very, very proud of that from Nick. All right, number three is family. Okay, family to him is number one, right? I'm not doing these in order. But his family is extremely important to him. From his mom and dad, the Boones, who live in Jones, Louisiana. That's what I got. Good. I got my information right then. So they build things like rice farms and that kind of thing, and he's been doing that pretty much his whole life, right? Family, very important. They influenced him. Just met his brother, by the way, who was in the Army, National Guard, engineer, right? Got out, and now he's like leading the whole North Louisiana junior college system. I mean, he's developing future leaders himself. So his mom and dad did a pretty good job, I think. And sister here as well, right? And two nieces, beautiful nieces right here. So his family is absolutely fantastic. And of course, his wife, Danielle, beautiful. We met apparently 20 years ago. I didn't remember that, Danielle. You just said it. Of course, wonderful family. He's a family guy. He's, it puts it number one. And like I said, Nick is real big into construction and that kind of thing. Well, he's got toys at his house, by the way. You know, most people have little toys like they got a lawn. I'm proud of my lawnmower, right? I get on my little Gravely, my little zero turn, and I'm just fun. I was doing that yesterday in my yard. He's got big toys. He's got excavators, bulldozers. He's got. I want to go to his house when I retire. We're going to do some real fun playing. So, and by the way, 2003 was a big year for Nick. 2003. He graduated from Louisiana Tech, mechanical engineering, one of the top students, by the way. Got married. That was the most important thing that happened, right? But then he also started ERDC. Hey, trifecta that year. So that was a big year, 2003. So in honor of his family, can we give them just a little applause? Fourth thing, great communicator. So Nick, the reason I thought he was going to be a director one day when I saw him, he was first briefing he did. I don't know what it was about, probably something to do with blowing something up. And he got up there and he just started talking. And I was like, my God, how long has he been here? He was just already talking at it, wasn't he, Reed? I mean, he could just tell the story so well. And that's a special skill. We got a lot of smart people here, PhDs and master's degrees, and I'm one of you, by the way. You just get up there and you get in your technical thing and, you know, you understand what you're saying and maybe nobody else does. But he has got a gift of, he can explain it to a 5-year-old or a 4-star general and everybody in between. Very complex topics. As a matter of fact, when I hear something sometimes, I'll say, Nick, can you explain to me what that was? Because he's got a way of interpreting things that is so good, and he's so good at it. So just a great communicator. And that's a great skill, by the way, that you know, we need to do a lot better job of training it, but he seemed to get it from the very, very beginning. And then finally, professionalism. I mean, we're all professionals. He's a very big on professionalism. I mean, he always took his job very, very seriously. As a matter of fact, I think I visited this. Reed, you might have been here. Bart, I know you were out there. It was either White Sands or Yuma or somewhere. We're doing some of that overhead cover protection. We just got into the war in Afghanistan and Iraq, and our oil bases were getting bombed by the bad guys, and it was mortars coming in, and they were killing people, and they developed an overhead cover protection technology that basically would stop those mortars from killing people. And they were doing all those testing experiments way out in the desert, because you don't want to do it here in Vicksburg. You want to do that in the desert. And the hotel was so far away that oftentimes Nick, maybe everybody else too, I don't know, Nick, would sleep in the car overnight because they didn't want to drive back to the hotel so they could be there first thing in the morning to do more tests. Well, that's professional. That's the dedication that is so typical, by the way, of the folks that we have here at ERDC. They just really believe and they're driven in what they do, and it matters, and it really does matter. So just excellent professional. By the way, he's co-authored a lot of publications, 5 patents, really smart guy, 5 patents. Lots of awards, by the way, all the kind of awards you can get. I mean, civilian service, program development, R&D, achievement, tech transfer. So he's very, very good at what he does. So that is what I think about Nick. I'm so proud of Nick, and I want to congratulate Nick on becoming one of the newest senior executives in the United States Army. So let's give him a hand. And Nick, if you'll join me and General People, right here at center stage.
Good morning. Good morning. We didn't compare notes, but we'll see. First, let me say how truly honored I am to be here today, sharing this stage with these 2 amazing people. As I start a new chapter, I couldn't think of better battle buddies to have. Dr. Mosier, Ms. Sullivan, congratulations. I want to thank Dr. Pittman, General Peoples, Colonel Patterson, and all the distinguished leaders that have joined me here today. To my coworkers, mentors, friends, and especially my family, thank you. Thank you for your support, your encouragement, and your patience that has shaped my path to this point. When I first started working here, I never set out to be a senior executive. In fact, I never set out to be an engineer. When I was in high school, I didn't even want to go to college. But it's kind of funny how life has a way of presenting opportunities. By listening to those around me, making the right decisions, and stepping up when I saw a challenge that I could solve, I've been blessed with an unimaginable journey. I've had a privilege of working alongside some of the smartest and most dedicated people you'll ever meet. Many are in this room. Some are at home with the flu, and that's fine. They need to stay there. But through those experiences, I found my true passion, solving hard problems and making a difference. And we get to do both of those every day here. What we do matters. It's the best job in the world, and I say that all the time. Along the way, I learned leadership isn't about titles or positions. It's about people. It's about creating an environment where talented, dedicated people can come together, challenge each other, accomplish something greater than themselves. My journey to this moment started in my hometown of Jones, Louisiana, population 138. We worked hard on the farm. We never locked our doors in our house. We left keys in our trucks. But we learned the value of responsibility, persistence, and an honest day's work. That foundation eventually, after some hard decisions, led me to engineering school, where I swapped out farm tools for textbooks and learned new skills. Looking back on the farm, in the lab, and leading teams, I realized the same principles apply. Teamwork, adaptability, and follow-through. But no matter how far I've come, I couldn't do it without my family. And to thank them, I need some help from Neely and Camille. So I don't cry when I do what they're about to do. Thank you. Adrian, your endless energy, I just have envy for that. I don't know how you find time to write, but you keep me focused on purpose with perspective. Neely and Camille, you keep me grounded. You remind me what's really important in life. And yes, I still agree, the food is better in Mississippi, except for my mama's. Frank, you inspired me to be my best. You helped me get past my fear of public speaking. This guy used to compete in state speech competitions. But more importantly, you taught me the true meaning of selfless service. It's not hard to work on base camp protection when your brother's deployed, living in those base camps. I don't say it often enough, but thank you for your service. Mom and Dad, I'm standing here because of you. Your faith in God, your commitment to community, your endless sacrifice for our family made me who I am today, and I can't thank you enough for that. And to my incredible wife, Danielle, we've been through a lot together. You know me better than anybody, and you've always been there for me. You've been my rock. You make me a better person. You always know the right answer, even when I overanalyze the situation. And I couldn't do this without you by my side. As I step into this role, I do it with a deep sense of responsibility. Our work matters, not just today, but for the future of our country. And just like my life, I know success isn't from one person alone. We work together, learning from each other, pushing forward with purpose. To my colleagues, my mentors, and especially my family, thank you. Thank you for your trust, your guidance, your belief in me. I'm honored to continue serving, and I look forward to what we'll accomplish together. Building strong, GSL strong, SA on.
Okay, 2 down, 1 to go. Here we go. Okay, last but not least, Dr. Robert Moser. He is the director of the Information Technology Lab, or ITL. Yes, he is. He is already the director of ITL, and now we're about to induct him to the senior executive service that kind of comes with it, okay? So guess what I have? 5 words about Robert Moser. That's exactly right. You guys are pretty sharp. Yeah, 5 words about Robert Moser. When I think of Robert, I think of 5 things, okay? I think about smart, and not just for the reason you might think I'm thinking about smart. Family, versatile, strategy. What does he mean by that? I'll tell you. And then leadership, okay? I'll start with smart. So by the way, when I was in GSL, Robert started in GSL. I don't know what year it was, Robert, 2010. Yeah, see, he's smart. 2010. And I remember when he came in. I mean, just this brilliant, smart, genius guy. But he was smart in more ways than one. We actually hired him in something called the SMART program. Get it? Yeah, SMART program. It's for STEM majors, science, technologists, engineering, and mathematics majors. So it's for people who want to go into the DOD, Department of Defense. They'll pay for everything, by the way. And I think you got your graduate degrees that way. And so, but the deal is you got to go work with the DOD entity, a lab usually. And we got lucky enough to pick him up. And Robert, I'm not sure if you were the first SMART student, maybe the 10th, I don't know. Maybe the second, yeah, like 1 or 2 smart students, by the way. So I really encourage anybody out there who's got kids that are coming up and might need to go like scholarships and things, that want to go in engineering or STEM. The SMART Scholarship Program is a fantastic way to go. And by the way, you might be a lab director one day, okay? So he went to Georgia Tech. We hired him in. He was a civil engineer, 3 degrees from Georgia Tech, got to be a good guy. Comes in and, oh my gosh, he starts blowing us away. So extremely smart, like a lot of people out here are, from the SMART program. And he's just out of the box thinker. I mean, like a lot of our folks are, but he really brings a different dimension. The way he thinks about things is just totally different. Like I'm a civil engineer, I just tend to think like civil engineers do, right? And he's got a big brain, he's all over the place. And it's very relevant to what we're thinking about. So he's also recognized, by the way. He's published a lot, by the way. Over 200 publications, over 80 refereed articles. And you started when? 2010? When does he go to sleep? I don't know when he goes to sleep. He's been selected by the National Academy of Engineers for a Frontiers of Engineering honor, like Frontiers of Engineering, like already National Academy of Engineers. And he also married, by the way, so his wife Jen has the flu, and she is really smart for not being here today, right? So we thank you, Jen, for not being here today, but he, just like me, he married up significantly, and his wife Jen is also really smart, by the way. And so I think she's tied him through FaceTime or something like that. So thank you, Jen, for marrying Robert and setting him straight very much. So second thing is family. So let's get into Jen a little bit. So the smartest decision I think that Robert ever made was marrying Jen. Okay, Jen Sider Moser now. She's environmental lab. And she's also very smart, smarter than him, okay? She's very, very smart. She's also an SS. She just got selected, by the way, SSTM. You know what that is, right? I just explained it to you. She's very, very high up. And so was Robert, by the way. I mean, that's a power couple. Very smart people in the same house, and they're married, okay? It works. So, but he's always celebrated his wife's career and supported her, and she has supported him. And that's just amazing that they both achieved what they have achieved all along. So just an absolutely delightful couple. And again, Jen, thank you for being home right now because you got the flu. But I know you're very proud of Robert, as we all are. And thank you for your family. So you got your son Calvin. Calvin's here, by the way. Very delightful, and he's a smart kid too. He might be the smartest one of all, especially if he decides to come join ERDC one day. You going to come work at ERDC one day, Calvin? Maybe. Maybe. We're working on him. So he has a new family member is what I hear, by the way. Have y'all heard of his newest family member? Dougie. You know what Dougie is? Dougie's a dog. Dougie's a dog. Dougie didn't come to the ceremony today? Okay. Dougie's at home with Mom, with Jen. So Dougie's the newest family member. They go on a lot of family adventures together, by the way. I hear about them all the time. Really, really fun adventures with the family. Robert's a big fan of Waffle House. I love Robert. Big fan of Waffle House. You want to go see Robert? Go to Waffle House, like nights, weekends, that kind of stuff. He hangs out. He's an avid fisherman. Okay, I fish a little bit, but listen to this, woodworker. That sounds boring, but God, I love woodworking. So me and Robert, we're going to work together. I'm going to go to Nick's house and do bulldozing. I'm going to go to Robert's house and I'm going to do woodworking. He's a do-it-yourselfer. Me too. And he's a foodie. I like food. We all like food. But here's one of the real cool things about Robert. So I told Robert a long time ago, my favorite all-time vehicle is a 1996 red Ford F-150 Eddie Bauer Edition package. So what does he go off and do? He buys a 96, 95? 87. Oh, even better. 87 Ford F-150. It's not quite the 96 red Eddie Bauer Edition, but he loves trucks. And guess what else he has? A deuce and a half. You know what that is? That's a big Army truck, man. You talk about toys. This guy's got toys. So he loves that kind of stuff. Okay. Versatile. Okay. Who knows who Willie Mays is? Y'all heard of Willie Mays? Like the baseball player? Willie Mays. Yeah. One of the greatest baseball players of all time, maybe the best baseball player of all time. And he was known for his versatility, right? He had 600, I'll Google this, it's true, 660 home runs, 12 golden gloves, so he could do offense and defense. He could steal bases. He was just a great, great American and great baseball player, known for his versatility. Well, Robert's kind of like the Willie Mays of ERDC, okay? He can do seemingly everything. I told you, he's a civil engineer. I'm a civil engineer, okay? But he does a whole lot more than civil engineering. He's like materials engineer, like concrete and all that sort of, kind of what I knew him for is concrete stuff. He works in the concrete branch. That's concrete, aggregate, cement, the whole deal, steel, construction, all that kind of stuff. But he's also into multiphysics modeling. I didn't know that. Multiphysics modeling. That's pretty cool. Advanced manufacturing, which means he does 3D printing of steel and other materials. Computational modeling. He did that so well, we hired him to be the director of the Information Technology Lab, for goodness sake. So he's into computing. He runs one of the fastest supercomputers in the world, in charge of the DoD's whole program in that. So he's extremely versatile in what he does, and he's willing to try different things. And he's an award winner. Again, he's excellent. He's good at what he does. He's won the Superior Civilian Service Award, the Bronze de Fleury Medal, Army Corps of Engineers Innovator of the Year, Army Corps of Engineers Researcher of the Year. Hey, he's got it going on, okay? He's really, really good at what he does. So the fourth thing is strategist. So why do I say strategy? Well, when you become a senior executive or general officer or a senior person in any organization, you got to think about strategy a little bit. Like, where are we going? Where's the boss say? They set the vision, and then where we're going, and then how are we going to get there? That's a strategy, okay? So you think big, like the future. Well, Robert, he just starts showing up at all of our strategy meetings, you know? I mean, he's just like, Robert, and he's putting out these great visions. We had a civil works R&D strategy, Ty Wamsley, didn't he? Didn't he, Robert? He just sat there and just like start spewing this stuff out, and we're writing it down, you know? I mean, and he's writing stuff. And then we did a USACE R&D strategy, first one in our history. Robert's there helping to draft it. Now he's doing a high-performance computing strategy. So he just thinks big about the future, what to do and how to go about doing it. So he's big into strategy. And then finally, just leadership, right? I'm not sure if he or Andy Nelson, maybe Nick, I don't know, will be the youngest director at ERDC. I don't know. They all probably got that figured out, but they're running neck and neck for the youngest director at ERDC, maybe in history, I'm not sure. We saw leadership potential in him very, very early. Now he's in charge of one of our biggest labs, one of our biggest programs that we have, because we saw the leadership and ability in Robert at a very, very early age. He's very solid. He's very transparent. He's very trustworthy. I mean, if he tells you something, you can take it to the bank. He carefully thinks things through. He gets a lot of people involved. He knows he's not the smartest guy in the room sometimes, especially when Jim's in the room, okay? He really takes a lot of input with folks. And people come to him not just for his technical ability, but the way he leads, his leadership philosophy, and how he gets things done. So, Robert, that's my 5 words for you, sir, in just a few minutes. Is that good? That's good. He says it's good. So let's congratulate Robert for being the newest senior executive of the United States Army. If you'll join us at center stage, Robert, me and General Collin.
It's an honor. Gentle people.
We probably should have compared notes because I think it's interesting. We have a lot of similar comments. So thank you to everybody for coming here. I definitely want to thank Major General Peoples, Colonel Lorenzen, our chaplain, for being here, Dr. Pittman, Colonel Patterson, our whole board of directors, and especially to my esteemed colleagues, Ms. Sullivan, Mr. Boone, who are here on the stage. It's truly a privilege to join you here today as we take on these new roles to lead our laboratories and ERDC into the future. I too took Strength Finders, and one of my traits is I potentially, on paper, am not a very sentimental person. But
Jen will fix that.
yeah, she puts that rudder in the other direction. But I have to start off by talking about a few things that are really important to me. There are people in your life, whether by luck or divine intervention, that have a dramatic impact on its trajectory in your future. And I was certainly fortunate to have some of those that helped me get here today, and many of those are you all here in the audience. We've had some rough patches through the years, and it was my strong mom that helped us get through it and provided us with love and encouragement. Okay, you gotta come up here. Cal's great. Growing up, I always figured I'd work in a bait shop or follow my skills in carpentry. But people intervened along the way and steered me in a different direction. At Georgia Tech, I found the same. Folks that you didn't even think about at the time were steering you to do things and accomplish things that helped to shape your future. And that ultimately led me here to ERDC, where that has only continued thanks to our great leaders, many mentors, and our whole ERDC team, just really all of you. So unlike a lot of folks, when you talk to them about their ERDC career and they talk about how they maybe first interacted with ERDC or the Waterways Experiment Station and how they didn't even know that this place existed, and then they ended up staying their whole career. That was not my case, okay? So the group that I joined in GSL was sort of like going to the Holy Land. the land of Mather, written about in textbooks and papers that I reviewed in graduate school. And unlike a lot of esteemed organizations that can be somewhat stifling or obtuse, my home in GSL was totally different. This team of coworkers became my friends and adopted family. Many of them are here today, out in the audience. I'd probably spend 30 minutes just trying to name every person that's special as part of that journey. People throughout my life would ask me how things are going here in Vicksburg, and I would tell them, you just would not believe the caliber of people that I get to work with every day, and their kindness, and the great work that we were blessed to do for the nation. Life here at ERDC has been the best. As Dr. Pittman mentioned, I met my beautiful and smart wife, Jen, here while I was running the electron microscope in GSL. She thought she was going to get Dr. Chuck Weiss and Celtic music and classic rock. Many of you know Chuck. He just retired a couple of weeks ago. But she got me in country music. Chuck and I now have the same hairline, so that's kind of the joke's on her. She's an amazing person, an environmental scientist, and my son Calvin and I just love her so much. She's awesome. Jen and I are both not from here. She's from upstate New York. I'm from South Florida. But being here, we have been blessed to have a support system and a work family better than anybody deserves. And so I want to thank you all for that. It's just amazing. We have all accomplished a lot of great things together. From the bottom of the most secure places on earth to infrastructure projects from the Dakotas to the Gulf of Mexico, using the best experimental equipment and computers to conduct our research, my career here at ERDC has afforded me opportunities to work on so many interesting and impactful things. It's truly astounding. As the prior speaker said, the work that we do matters. It matters every single day to our nation and the warfighter. And it's our amazing people, all of you, that help to make that happen in the way that no other organization can. And I work with lots of them. All of us work with lots of them. And there's something special about our team and the work that we do here at ERDC. Finally, I want to thank my ITL team. I was a GSLer for a while, and we've been together for the last 8 months or so, and you all just straight up rock. It's awesome. From the nation's best federal library to shaping artificial intelligence technologies across the Corps of Engineers, deciding all the future weapon systems that are going to enable our defense and defeating our adversaries. Enabling every mission of the Department of Defense through high-performance computing technologies. Oh, and even fielding robotics on the battlefield, right? The work that you do matters, and it shapes our future. It shapes our nation. I know I have really big shoes to fill with a great legacy of leadership in the Information Technology Laboratory. I've seen a lot of the prior directors, Dr. Horner, who was a great mentor to me through the years, some of the initial projects that I was working on in GSL. He helped me get through those. The rigor of our board of directors meetings that would whip us around a little bit, I would say, and we came out good on the other side. The other Dr. Mosier, right here, who has better hair than me, and he tells people that his family had more money at Ellis Island, so he got an extra letter in his name. Dr. Holland, past ITL director and ERDC director, Ms. Dewitt, who's over here, and Dr. Dent. Thank you all so much for your service. Just in closing, I'm so privileged to lead ITL in this assignment, and I commit to do my darndest to fight for you all and to shape our organization along with ERDC to be the most impactful that it can in the future. So thank you all very much for coming today, and most certainly for the honor of this assignment. Thank you.
Certainly a fantastic group that we are honoring today. And with that, it gives me great pleasure and honor to introduce Major General Peoples, who will share a few remarks as we begin the official portion of our ceremony. Ma'am.
Well, good morning. What a great day to be in Vicksburg, Mississippi, isn't it?
Amen.
Absolutely love this place. I am really honored to represent the chief, Major General Colleton. She's Kim 1, I'm Kim 2, so no problem there. And to share the stage with you today, Dr. Pittman. Always a very hard act to follow, I can tell you that. First, I want to recognize again the families of our inductees and just thank you. Thank you. It means the world that you're here and for all that you've done to get the inductees to this point. I want to share a little history of the Senior Executive Service. It was established in 1979, and the purpose was to ensure the executive branch was responsible to the needs of the nation, extending shared values across 75 departments that make up our government. Senior executives bring a broad perspective of government, strong skills, and a commitment to public service. It is really, really competitive to get to this point in your career. It has taken years of dedicated service, technical excellence, sacrifice, hard work, and teamwork to get you here. This is a really, really big deal, and I want to say congratulations. We're all very proud of you. But we aren't promoting these great Americans and professionals today for what they've done. Today is about what they are capable of doing and what they will do in the future for ERDC, for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, for our Army, or any post in the executive branch. We are here today to celebrate their potential and passion to ensure continuity, excellence, personal engagement, senior leadership, and accountability in our organizations. I asked each of our inductees 2 questions in preparation for today. First, I asked them what got them here. And to a person, each of them relayed a deep sense of gratitude for the amazing people who helped them along their journey. They relayed pride in doing something meaningful with real impact for America. Whether out front or behind the scenes, it's not all about their success, it's about the success of a team, and you heard those sentiments this morning loud and clear. I then asked, what are you excited about going forward? Again, to a person, each of these professionals expressed excitement in the future. The future of ERDC, the future of ITL, the future of GSL, the future of our Army Corps of Engineers. They want to solve hard problems. They want to make a difference and to do it together, with you, for us. And America needs their leadership. Thank you for saying yes. I'm excited to partner with you all in the days ahead. And when we unfurl their flag this morning in a few minutes, you'll see a symbol in the center of that flag. It's a symbol of a keystone. Also matches the pin that I pinned on their collar. A keystone, as y'all know, is a wedge-shaped piece at the crown of an arch that locks all the pieces into place. Engineers used to carve these pieces by hand to get them to fit just right, and it matters. Pat, Nick, and Robert, you will be the keystones to your team. Lock them together by providing caring, calm, and competent leadership I know you all are capable of and that your people deserve. We will also recite the oath of office, and it is this oath of office that sets our Army apart. We don't take an oath to a king or a queen. We take an oath to an idea, to a country of the people, by the people, and for the people. A pledge to act in the best interest of this country, this United States of America. I ask everyone gathered here today to listen closely to these words as we affirm our loyalty to our country and to each other. Freedom isn't free, and it is worth fighting for, and we'll all continue to do our part. I want to thank you again, Dr. Pittman, for inviting me to be part of this historic day for ERDC and in the lives of the Sullivan, Boone, and Mosier families. I want to see Cal. Do you have anything you'd like to say to the group today? No, I do agree. You're the smartest of the family. We'll see about the recruiting, maybe the division. Anyway. I want to give special thanks to Christian, to Joe, Gloria, Sarah, and everyone that made this day possible. What a beautiful ceremony. The Army is all about ceremonies, and this is why. Now let's make this official. If you join me.
It is symbolic at a ceremony such as this that inductees reaffirm their commitment to serve their nation as members of the Department of Defense.
Okay, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Having been selected to the Senior Executive Service. Do solemnly swear. That I will support and defend. The Constitution of the United States. Against all enemies. Foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith. And allegiance to the same. That I take this obligation freely. Without any mental reservation. Or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully. Discharge the duties of this office. Upon which I am about to enter. So help me God. All right.
Official party, please remain in position for the unfurling of the SES flag. As part of the induction ceremony to the Senior Executive Service, it is customary to unfurl the SES flag, representing the position of the newly appointed senior executive, and SES is given the flag to be displayed in their office. The Army established the SES flag in 1998, having a gold keystone as its central emblem. The keystone, a wedge-shaped stone of an arch that locks the others together, reflects the importance of the senior executive service within the government. What the flag designates most of all is the vital function the SES performs in the continued success of the Army leadership and bestows upon these individuals the respect that comes with official recognition. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Army's newest senior executives, Ms. Pat Sullivan, Mr. Nick Boone, and Dr. Robert Moser. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the playing of the Engineer and Army songs.
you will always know that the Army goes rolling along.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. To those who joined us today, thank you so much for your participation. Please join us in the atrium for refreshments. Our honorees will join everyone momentarily after a few family photos. Essayons.